It's 3 in the morning. You're staring at the ceiling. You've already flipped the pillow to the cold side twice. You check your phone. Bad idea. Now you're reading about someone who trained a raccoon to steal socks, and somehow that feels more productive than sleeping. Congratulations, you've just joined one of humanity's most exclusive clubs, people who are awake when absolutely nobody wants to be. But here's a strange question. What if waking up at 3 in the morning isn't actually a bug? What if it's a feature? Let's rewind about 50,000 years. No mattress, no alarm clock, no blackout curtains. Definitely no Wi-Fi. Just a cave, a small fire, and a very, very dark world waiting outside. Imagine opening your eyes in the middle of the night back then. You wouldn't panic because you couldn't sleep. You'd probably just sit up, listen, watch the fire, maybe check whether that suspicious rustling outside was the wind, or something with very large teeth. Because in the Stone Age, nighttime wasn't empty, it was alive. Every sound mattered, every shadow could mean dinner, or that you were dinner. Today, we treat being awake at night like something has gone wrong. We count the hours, we watch the clock, we get stressed about being stressed. Ironically, that stress is often what keeps us awake. But our ancestors had a completely different relationship with the night. Being awake wasn't automatically a problem that needed fixing. Sometimes it was exactly what the tribe needed. And that's where this story gets surprisingly weird, because history suggests that our modern idea of a perfect, uninterrupted 8 hours of sleep might be one of the newest habits humans have ever invented. So what actually happened when early humans woke up in the middle of the night? The answer changes the way we think about sleep, and maybe even ourselves. Here's something most of us never question. We assume humans have always slept the same way we do today. You go to bed, you sleep for 8 straight hours, you wake up. Simple. Except that's probably not how our ancestors slept. In fact, for most of human history, uninterrupted sleep may have been the exception, not the rule. Historians studying medieval Europe discovered something fascinating in old diaries, court records, and medical texts. People regularly talked about their first sleep and then their second sleep. Nobody explained what those phrases meant because everyone already knew. It was completely normal. People would fall asleep shortly after sunset, sleep for 3 or 4 hours, wake up naturally around midnight, stay awake for an hour or two, then go back to bed for their second sleep until sunrise. No panic, no frustration, no lying there thinking, oh no, I only have 4 hours left. That anxiety simply wasn't part of the experience. Now, we can't say with certainty that Stone Age people followed this exact schedule. There were no cave journals titled Sleep Log Tuesday. But anthropologists believe early humans likely experienced similarly flexible sleep patterns. After all, they lived by firelight, not electric light. Their nights were longer, darker, and far less controlled by the clock. So what happened during that quiet gap between sleeps? Probably nothing dramatic. Someone might quietly add another branch to the fire. Someone else might whisper about a strange dream. An elder could tell a story that had been passed down for generations. A hunter might sit silently, listening to the forest breathe beyond the cave entrance. There was no endless scrolling, no emails waiting, no notifications demanding attention, just darkness, warmth, and time. Oddly enough, modern sleep experiments have recreated something similar. When people are removed from artificial lighting for several weeks, many naturally begin sleeping in 2 separate phases, almost as if the brain is remembering an older rhythm, a rhythm that existed long before factories, long before alarm clocks, and long before anyone decided that waking up in the middle of the night meant something was wrong. Maybe our ancestors weren't bad sleepers. Maybe they were simply sleeping the way humans were designed to. Now imagine you've been awake for 20 minutes. The fire is still glowing. Everyone else is asleep. What do? Well, you certainly don't grab your phone. There isn't one. No television, no books, no late-night snacks hiding in the refrigerator. And somehow, that might have been exactly what made those quiet hours so peaceful. Instead of filling every moment with stimulation, early humans probably filled it with small, repetitive tasks, the kind of work that didn't require much thinking, just steady hands and a calm mind. Take the fire, for example. Keeping it alive wasn't optional, it was survival. A dying fire meant less warmth, less light, and much less protection from predators. So someone would quietly place another stick onto the embers, blow gently, watch tiny sparks dance into the darkness. Listen to the soft crackling of burning wood. Honestly, that sounds suspiciously like the world's first ASMR video. Then there was flint knapping, the slow process of shaping stone into razor-sharp tools. One careful strike, another. Tiny flakes of stone falling away. Top, pause. Top, pause. Every hit had to be controlled. Too hard and the tool shattered. Too soft and nothing happened. It demanded patience more than speed. Modern archaeologists have even suggested that experienced toolmakers could spend hours refining a single blade, not because they were slow, but because precision mattered. It's easy to imagine someone doing exactly that during the quiet hours between sleeps. No rush, no deadlines, just the rhythmic sound of stone against stone. Some people may have repaired clothing made from animal hides. Others could have woven plant fibers into simple cords or baskets. An artist might even add another animal to a cave wall already filled with bison, horses, and deer. By the flickering light of the fire, those paintings would almost seem to move. The shadows would make the animals run. The flames would make them breathe. It must have felt less like drawing and more like bringing the cave itself to life. These weren't chores in the modern sense. They were slow rituals, simple actions repeated over thousands of generations. The kind of activities that naturally quiet the mind instead of overwhelming it. Compare that to today. At 2 in the morning, one notification becomes 10. One short video becomes 45 minutes. Your brain goes from resting to debating whether penguins have knees. Early humans had something we rarely experience anymore. Silence. Real silence. No engines, no advertisements, no glowing screens competing for attention. Just the steady rhythm of breathing, the crackle of fire, and the comforting knowledge that morning would arrive when it was ready. Maybe those midnight hours weren't empty at all. Maybe they were some of the calmest moments humans ever experienced. But here's where the story takes a fascinating turn. What if waking up in the middle of the night wasn't just normal? What if it actually helped our species survive? Think about it. Imagine a small tribe of 30 people sleeping in a cave. Outside, the world is anything but peaceful. Hyenas wander through the darkness, wolves hunt in packs, leopards move almost silently, and in some parts of the prehistoric world, massive saber-toothed cats are looking for their next meal. Now ask yourself one question. What's safer? A camp where every single person is fast asleep at exactly the same time? Or a camp where someone is always awake? The answer seems obvious, and that's the idea behind something scientists call the sentinel hypothesis. The hypothesis suggests that natural differences in our sleep patterns may have created an accidental night watch. Some people naturally stayed up later, others woke before dawn. Older adults often slept more lightly. Teenagers tended to stay awake long after everyone else wanted to. Not because they were lazy, not because they were rebellious, but because human biology isn't perfectly synchronized, and that may have been one of our greatest strengths. Researchers studying modern hunter-gatherer communities have found something remarkable. Throughout the night, there's almost always at least one person awake. Not because they're standing guard with a spear, not because someone assigned them a shift. It simply happens naturally. Different people sleep at different times. Their patterns overlap like pieces of a puzzle. The result? Someone is almost always awake enough to notice danger. Imagine a leopard creeping toward the camp. It doesn't need everyone asleep. It only needs everyone asleep at the same moment. If even one person hears a twig snap, sees glowing eyes beyond the fire, or notices the family dog or perhaps the tribe's alert companions becoming restless, that single person can save 30 lives. That's an incredible return on investment. In modern life, we often think of insomnia as a flaw, something to fix, something to medicate, something to eliminate. But evolution doesn't care about perfect sleep. Evolution cares about survival. A tribe where everyone sleeps like a rock sounds comfortable until the night something hungry walks into camp. Suddenly, the person who wakes up at 3 in the morning isn't the problem, they're the alarm system. The teenager who can't fall asleep until late, still watching the fire. The elder who always wakes before sunrise, already listening to the forest. The mother who sleeps lightly because every unfamiliar sound catches her attention, she's another layer of protection. Individually, those sleep patterns might seem inconvenient. Together, they create a community that is almost never completely vulnerable. It's a beautiful example of how evolution often solves problems, not by making every individual perfect, but by making the group resilient. Different strengths, different rhythms, one shared chance of survival. So perhaps the real question isn't why do some people wake up in the middle of the night? The more interesting question is, what if someone always needed to? The next time you wake up at 3 in the morning, try looking at it a little differently. For tens of thousands of years, being awake in the middle of the night wasn't unusual. It wasn't a diagnosis. It wasn't a failure. For our ancestors, it may have been part of the rhythm of being human. Someone kept the fire alive. Someone listened to the sounds beyond the cave. Someone stayed awake just long enough to make sure everyone else could sleep safely. Of course, if sleepless nights become frequent or start affecting your health, it's important to talk to a healthcare professional. But the occasional midnight awakening isn't necessarily as unnatural as it feels. Maybe a small part of your brain is still carrying an ancient habit, a reminder from a world where survival depended on awareness more than comfort. Humanity didn't make it this far because every individual was perfect. We made it because we looked after one another, even while the rest of the tribe was asleep. If you enjoyed uncovering the hidden stories behind human history, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Boldline the History, and turn on notifications so you won't miss our next journey into the surprising science of our ancient past. Until next time, sleep well, and if you happen to wake up in the middle of the night, maybe you're just keeping watch for the tribe.